So I have my good friend Albert here, and we are going to basically compare all the Powerpads pretty much available on the market. We might be missing a few like Casey pads, right?
Yep. Technically not on the market yet.
Technically, yeah, exclusive. So let's just introduce the pads first. We have these pads, which are a modded pad from Thingiverse, so basically free.
Just from the online 3D printing community.
Yeah.
So anybody can go to Thingiverse and download the file and print their own pads as long as they have a 3D printer.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be the most cheapest, affordable way to go, but of course depends on your 3D printing skills.
Yes. And then we have these guys, which are the Clarkpads.
Those are the Pads.
Oh, Pads,
so
sorry,
Kai
yeah.
Sherman is currently testing that with Chance.
These are Clarkpads?
Yeah, so these are the Clarkpads V3.
Foam?
The foam version.
Okay.
And then these are the Clarkpad V2s.
Okay.
Which are the 3D printed versions.
Okay. And then Grizzlas?
These are the Grizzla Bigs, so the
Grizzla
bigger
Bigs.
versions
Okay.
of the Grizzlas. And then these are the Kinetic pads with the bite.
AKA also known as
Nylon Nova pads, because they
Okay.
work with the Nylon Nova pedals.
Okay, cool. All right, I guess that's a quick introduction of all these pads. Maybe we'll leave a link down below.
But and they're also ordered from the cheapest to the most expensive.
Yeah. Should we analyze them?
Sure.
Oh, by the way, this video is not sponsored, so none of these. Albert bought all of these with his own money, so I'm blessed to have him here with me. So let's talk about the pads. I've tried a few. I haven't tried all of them, so Albert's gonna have to fill me in on basically what he thinks about the pads. But I've been riding with these, so let's talk about these. Okay, so before I even came to Canada, I thought these 3D printed Powerpads were hard, but this is actually soft. I mean, again, that depends on how you
it's a soft
print.
TPU material. So if you use a PETG, then of course it's going to be hard, similar to this type of plastic. So if you can hear this, it's a very hard plastic. But with the 3D printed, you can choose your softness based on the amount of infill you have.
Make sure you speak towards the mic.
That you print it with. So you can kind of tailor that to, because it's Thingiverse, you can tailor that to your personal preferences. These ones are the extra thick model. So as you can see, they're 3 inches wide compared to, let's say, the Grizzlas that are 2.5, or the Clarks that are even thinner at about 2 inches.
So do you know, off the top of your head, which ones come with like a wider model?
For the Thingiverse, you mean?
No, just for these ones. Because, okay, so the Grizzla Bigs, they're
so the big
wider, right?
I think it's not just the width. I think it's mainly the height.
Okay.
So with the height, you can get more leverage on your wheel, but of course it only works with bigger wheels. So if you put a big on, let's say, I don't know, a V10 or a smaller wheel, it may be too big for the wheel. So just making sure that you buy the right size. But for the 18-inch wheels, they fit perfectly.
Okay. Yes, because I don't really like pads of this size because I have really wide legs. So I've been riding with these, and these have been perfect. Not that many features on this. Kind of a basic power pad, right?
Correct. It's more a basic power pad. It has the flat bottom style for the jump pads at the bottom here, so that it's a more comfortable surface for your toes. But yeah, it's fairly basic.
Okay. Then let's talk about these Kai pads here.
So these Kai pads are probably the more interesting ones. It's a very new concept. These Kai pads, you can actually change the inserts based on what you want. So for example, if the insert in here right now is a TPU insert. So if you can see the flex, you can flex it a lot harder versus the back pads, which I put the PETG inserts in, so they don't have as much flex.
So you get different types of support. And one thing I'm realizing is if you're riding with these off-road, a lot of times you'll hit your shin against your power pad as your wheel's going over bumps. The way that these Kai pads flex, it kind of adds as cushion, right?
Correct.
So that's really cool.
So a lot of these pads, when you set them up on your wheel, most people will set them up with a bit of a gap. So you can power or brake and you have some freedom of movement. Because the Kai pads have this flex, you can actually put these directly up your leg and make it really tight, but you won't feel locked in.
They're separated, like half.
It's
leaflet,
cut.
or what? Is there like a technical term that they're calling it? But
I have no clue. I think it's still in development.
It's split halfway.
Yeah, and so with Chance is currently testing these out. So they've gone through a couple iterations to make sure that it doesn't split on the edge. So this is actually 100% infill on the layers right near the slit. And that just ensures that it will stay strong and reliable for future.
Okay, cool. Let's talk about the next ones. The Clarkpads, the foam V3s.
So, unfortunately, this is one of my most disliked pads. And the reason why is because I find this foam to be too hard. One, it's too hard. Secondly, it's the narrowest of all the pads. So I find that you have to squeeze a lot more to get that power into the wheel.
Yeah, it's also very narrow. And you know what? These V3 Clarkpads look very much like any other mass-produced pads, China pads.
Yeah.
Those in-motion pads, or those there's like 2 or 3 Chinese pads. Some of them are known as Gotway pads, or they're not made by them, but they look
very similar.
Yeah,
but you're paying a premium for the Clarkpads.
Exactly, because you're paying a premium for the name.
Correct.
But yeah, I don't think these are probably my least liked pads.
Least favorite. Yeah.
Yeah, they're small, and it's like you could save money and just buy the in-motion pads or the other China pads.
And the other thing too is because it's so narrow in terms of the depth, when you want to use these jump pads, personally subjectively feeling is that I really have to dig my toes in to make sure that I'm hooking the jump pad, or else sometimes I'll slip out.
Yeah, but some people might like that, and they might not want that complete locked-in feel. It's personal preference. It's
Correct.
also dependent upon
preference.
your how wide your leg is as well.
So actually, I forgot to mention that's also one of the things of the Kinetic. So you can see how the Clarkpads, they have this flat bottom, whereas the Kinetic actually have a cupping. So you can see a curvature here. And this allows you to make your foot more stuck to the jump pad when you're jumping, so it doesn't slide out.
That's awesome. Small details. Okay, let's talk about Clarkpad. I think this is what Clarkpad is really famous for,
That's
right?
what they're famous for, yeah. So
Yeah.
I ran this all of last year. These were my favorite pads. I bought 2 or 3 of them, different sets, because I really enjoyed them. These are modified, so I have cut them to be a bit shorter so I can make them a little bit tighter, as well as I chopped off this edge so that when you put them up like this,
so you can have the brake pad higher up.
You can have the brake pad higher up, but it still fits properly.
Yes.
The only issue I find is that when you do it like this, you can sometimes feel the edges because of the fact that I cut them. But if you don't cut them, you can't get them narrow enough, in my personal opinion. Ignore the logo. This is our riding group logo. So it's underneath. It's the Clarkpad logo.
Okay. Do you know why these were so popular? I think maybe because they're the
these
first
were one
ones.
of the first, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why they were
pioneered
popular,
the Powerpads.
But now that we have so many options, it's worth having a look at all the other options.
Yeah.
Grizzlies are also really popular.
Yeah, Grizzlies I think they came out mainly the end of last year, became really popular. They started with the whole 2-piece design so that you can place your braking pad and your power pad independently of each other.
Okay.
Initially, I was very concerned about the Velcro being strong enough to hold them down.
Especially the brake.
Especially the braking pad.
Always smaller, yep.
Correct. However, with testing, I found that they were perfectly adequate, and I've never had any concerns with them. So my feedback has changed.
Cool.
The other thing that Grizzla has is these toe things that you can change colors for people who like to customize.
Okay.
So you can unlock these, and you can buy different toe clips based on your color preference.
Okay, but just aesthetic.
It's just aesthetic, yeah.
Okay.
But the toe clip is actually a PLA, or a harder material, which gives the toe jump part a little bit more structural stiffness compared to just having TPU.
All right, let's talk about the last ones. The
last ones are the Nylon Novas. These are brand new to the market. I think they started a couple months ago only. But these are very unique because of the fact that you can kind of rotate and adjust as you...
they have an axle in the middle between the
there's a pivot. This allows you to kind of mold it to the right angle and the right curvature of your leg. So I would say that this is actually the most comfortable pads.
Okay.
So if you have a problem with like these pads digging into your shins, or you have certain pain points on your legs, these will be the most comfortable power pads you'll ever use. But the key part of this is the kinetic part of it, the bite system. So as some of you may know, the Clarkpads came out with their pedals where there's a cutout so that you can run your pads a little bit lower, allowing you to close your pedals. The bite system is unique because with the Clarks, you can only put it in that one spot. If you put it anywhere else, the pedal still won't close.
Okay.
With the bite system, you can move this up and down, left and right. So depending on your personal preference.
Because the grooves are the same size.
Correct, and they all go across, right?
Yeah.
So with that, you can still have the pedal closure and the sticking part of it without being locked into what Clarkpad wants you to put it.
Yeah.
So it adds a little bit of customization.
Albert's quite the experienced user on Powerpads. The Nylon Novas are also the longest ones. So personally, I really like it long because I want to be able to jump, but I also want my Powerpads up high because I get more leverage to accelerate, and it means that I don't have to use as much force. So that's why I like those. With these like smaller pads, I kind of had to pick between one or the other, and I'm usually picking torque. Unless I'm going off-roading, then I'll move it down. But with these, I don't really have to pick. I can have basically the best of both worlds.
So for reference, for more people who are technical, these are 9.5 inches tall, whereas the Clarkpads are only 7 inches tall.
Yeah.
So you can see there's a very drastic height difference.
Yeah.
And when you're riding, even the difference between 9 inches versus 9.5 is noticeable. Yeah. So the extra half an inch it really makes a difference.
I mean, the actual surface on where you can put your Powerpads is only so large. So yeah, it definitely does make a difference. So what is your favorite pad? Like, if you had to basically just choose one and run with them?
My favorite pad, it's a hard question. It would be between the Clarkpads or the Nylon Novas.
Okay.
I like the Nylon Novas because of the fact that you can place these bite pads wherever you want, and they work with the pedals. However, that could also be a con because if you don't get the bite system, you kind of miss out on a feature. Because that's one of its selling points.
Okay, so if you're getting those, I would suggest you get the
pedals, the pedals that go with it. Yeah.
Okay.
I like the Clarkpads because they actually, you can put them really tight to your leg, and therefore you can actually modulate the amount of acceleration or braking. Because of the fact that you have this flex when you're riding, you have that feedback based on the displacement of this pad as to how much force you're putting in. So going from 0% to 100% acceleration, or going from 0% to 100% braking, is very quick. There's no dead zone compared to the Nylon Novas.
Okay. Okay, so giving you a closer look at the Nylon Nova pedals. And
so
with
excuse the wheel. Pads. The wheel is not a show wheel. It's a very well-used wheel. So this is the bite system for Nylon Nova. So when you put your pads down, if you like to sit more farther back on the pedal, you can put the pads farther back, or you can put them farther forward or all the way up. So depending on what your preference is, you can really tailor this based on your foot position. The other thing is it allows you to go really low. So the gap between here and the bottom of the pedal becomes super small, which allows most people's feet to be able to be really snug and locked in.
Yeah, this is a very small space.
It's a very small space. Also, with the aftermarket pedals, a lot of times the magnet doesn't work anymore in the wheels. So this will actually friction it and allow it to be more stuck. So it won't flop around.
Cool. Cool. Yeah, I mean, this Kinetic Powerpad is honestly so feature-packed in comparison to everyone else. Yeah. I mean, the Clarkpads are very cool too.
The only thing I will say is that because you can see how tall the pad is, you really do need a big surface area. So, for example, you wouldn't buy this for the RS, but you could use it for any of the newer wheels like the S22 has a really tall battery pack, or the Master. Then this would fit perfectly. So just keep that in mind because it is 9.5 inches tall.
Yeah, so as you can tell, Albert is very, very enthusiastic about his Powerpads. He's also done a lot of research, which helps you guys out in picking out the right Powerpads for you, so you guys don't have to spend, what is it, like, it's like $200? Like,
anywhere from like $180 US down to a 3D printer.
What are the Kai ones?
The Kais are 145. So anywhere from 145 to 180 US
We're talking, US dollars. Okay.
Not including shipping or duties depending on where you live.
Yeah. So it adds up. It adds up to quite a lot. What is this, like a $2,000 table?
I don't know if it's $2,000. Maybe a grand.
Maybe a grand? Okay.
Maybe a grand.
But yeah, hopefully this helps you out. I'm very grateful to have Albert here with all these Powerpads. I'm able to try them out. These ones aren't bad as well. I think he's giving them to me, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's 3D printed, so I mean, it's cheap.
Yeah.
And you can print as many as you like. And you can customize based on what you want, too. Yeah. So you can always throw the file into Tinkercad, which is also a free online 3D design software. And then you can say, oh, I want it taller, I want it shorter, I want it thicker, I want it wider.
You want to adjust an angle of a particular part. So, I mean, with these ones, they're not going to give you the 3D models for them.
No.
But, yeah, so that's free benefit. And then, yeah. Okay, I think that's it. Thanks for Albert for explaining all of these Powerpads and buying all of this so no one else has to. Yeah, very simple video today. I guess that's it. hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully the video was helpful.
Like and subscribe.
Yes, like and subscribe. Yeah, whatever the hand gesture was. Yeah. All right. Thanks for watching.